Yeah, I was at a Skepta gig once in Manchester, just seen the sickest show ever. And I just saw loads of staff walking behind with like drinks and stuff. Just grabbed a bin and literally just walked behind them staff members as if I was staff. Got in, chilled with them, had a little drink. 10 minutes in, they're basically like, hang on a minute, who's this sweaty white boy? I literally look like such a fan. And I go, whoa. They kind of roughed me up a bit and back to take me out. And I went, whoa, before you kick me out, let me tell you how I got in. Told them how I got in and they went, that was so sick, you can just stay, you can stay. So I just chilled with them all night, literally.
Welcome to the Insider Startup Podcast, where each week we bring you cutting edge insights into the behind the scenes world of rapidly growing businesses and successful entrepreneurs. So who is behind the pod? Well, each week you will join me, your host, Charlie Stewart, and my co-pilot, another Charlie Barron, who is the co-founder of the Up Company. That name may not be familiar to you yet, however, our brand name certainly will be. Charged Up is Europe's largest phone charging network, and Cleaned Up is the UK's largest distribution network of hand sanitizer dispensers. Very handy in this COVID world, of course. Our growth over the last 2 years has enabled us to meet and learn from some truly inspirational and insightful individuals who have provided their pearls of wisdom to us in order to help our business grow. We are now going to get them on the pod and have them share their wisdom with you to hopefully provide some inside information on how to grow your business, your personal brand, and provide advice you don't get in school. This week on episode 3 of the Insider Startup Podcast, we are joined by Jamie Rawsthorne, or as you may know him better, Jay from the Zac and Jay show on YouTube. We talk about Jamie's rise to YouTube success, including the principles and knowledge he gained from starting his own business in university and how he applied this to content creation in order to create an incredibly successful YouTube channel. We delve into the behind the scenes world of what it means to be an influencer and how Zac and Jay both operate their channel as a business, denouncing the naive idea that YouTubers simply just sit in their rooms making random videos. This cannot be further from the truth, and certainly in Jamie's case. And this podcast gives a real insight into the sharp minds in the YouTube scene that are capitalizing on a relatively untapped market for business-savvy creatives. We talk the fundamentals of having an audience to tap into and the risks that Zac and Jay took to pursue what is fundamentally a startup in its own unique way. This was a really interesting discussion on a personal level, and Jamie really does provide so many valuable lessons in how not only to make it on YouTube, but also in business generally. As always, I now pass you over to my future self. Enjoy. So you join us today at an unusual time for the pod. We've swapped our beers for coffee. Not that you'd know, of course. You can watch or listen any time of the day, so it doesn't really make a difference. I'm joined as always by Charlie Barron. Charlie.
Thank you for having me again. Haven't been kicked off yet. Good start. I've made number 3.
Well, Marcus is already trying to get rid of us, but we're going to stick around for a few more episodes at least. And this week we have another very special guest. You don't have to listen to me and Charlie talk too much. We're delighted to have Jay from the Zac and Jay show join us. Jay, how are you doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you, very well. Thanks for having me.
And so in terms of those who may not know who you are, it's always good to start with a little bit of background. Who are you? What do you do? Where do you come from?
What do I do? Where do I come from? There's a lot of ways to attack these questions, aren't there? Who am I as a person? My name is Jamie Rawsthorne. Is that who I am?
Yes.
What I do, is that my work, or do I breathe? Anyway, Jamie Rawsthorne. What I do work-wise is run a YouTube channel, full-time on that. Been doing that for 2 years. We've amassed 700,000 subscribers, hit that a couple of weeks ago. How do we kind of make money from that? Because that doesn't really make sense for a lot of people in the business sense, a lot of people in the world.
That is a business. Like, is that
100%, yeah, 100%. What is a business? Yeah, generate revenue, and we've got costs, and generate profit, and pay ourselves, and have employees, and all that shit that businesses have. So yeah, work with brand deals. Work with brands. We have deals with brands, so we get brand deals. Work with Wrigley's, they were our biggest client so far. What else do we do? Yeah, get ad money, get a few grand from Google every single month, which is all right. What else do we do? Yeah, merch is in the works, not just yet, but yeah.
So essentially all of our data that Google collects to target ads on your videos is paying you?
Yeah, literally, yeah.
I'm glad it's going to good use. So rewinding a bit before we get into YouTube, on the tube here this morning, I was doing some very last minute research and having a little delve into your LinkedIn profile, and saw previously, before the channel launched, you have launched previous businesses, particularly in the education sector. What was that business? What did you look to do? Was that out of uni?
Yeah. So that was actually into university. So I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I've always wanted to do whatever I want, pretty much, and make money from it in some way. And I remember telling my parents, I don't want to go to university. It's not the best place to be an entrepreneur. I was going to, I remember when I was 17, so in my A-levels, I went to this startup weekend in Manchester, and I literally, and I thought of this app that was like a happiness app, and every day it would change your photo to something happy, and you'd get messages of appreciation, and it was all designed around making you happier, and if you can make people happier, they'll pay for it. And I actually still think it's a pretty good idea, to be honest. Yeah, exactly. Like, if you genuinely make people happy, they will pay for that. I'm gonna have to come back to that one. But anyway, I did a pitch like that. It was like a 2-minute pitch. I worked, or 1-minute pitch. I worked for weeks on getting this 1-minute pitch right for this happiness app at startup weekend when I was 17, and you'd get votes by people sticking stickers on like this on your paper that I believe you were carrying around, or something weird like that. And that was my first thing into the startup world. Did startup weekend, spent the whole weekend just bashing out on someone else's recruitment startup idea. And then tell my parents, look, Mum, this is what Mum and Dad, this is what I want to do. I want to do startup stuff. I don't want to go to university where all my mates are going to go. I'm going to be drinking all the time and partying all the time. I told them that. They were absolutely horrified. They started literally, like, my mum was so strategic with it, and it kind of did work, to be honest. She rang up her brother who went Oxford and was like, look, Jamie doesn't want to go uni. What can we do? His daughters were all telling me, my cousins, this is what you do. So much so that my cousin Susanna found me. They were looking for degrees for me. They found me this entrepreneurship degree in Bristol where you could set up and run your own different business projects. And it was the first time it's ever been run in the UK. It kind of came over from Finland. And literally kind of the first 6 weeks into that, I wasn't going to be a student or go to university or all of that stuff. I was literally going to set up a business. And the reason why I went is it gave you 3 years of being able to do that with money of a student loan and with connections from the university. So I actually, for the first time in my life, the best place for me to be to set up a business was at university. So yeah, like the first 6 weeks of that, went to set up Unique Access, which was unrivaled access to the student market. We were a marketing and market research company to help businesses sell to students. And at the end of the first year of university, I basically just knocked on the Vice Chancellor's door. I sent him a random email to say, I'm in the first year of university. I've got this business that targets students. You're a university, you sell to students essentially with $9,000 a year. Let me do some research on something and I'll give you a report back. He went, sounds very interesting, why don't we have a meeting? And in that meeting, I found out that every time a student drops out, it costs the university $27,000 if they drop out in the first 6 weeks, as they miss out on that lifetime of revenue. And it's not just that as well, there is the personal factors, and that someone's going to university for a reason to improve their life, and if for emotional reasons or for menial reasons that the university could have prevented, they don't do that, they can feel like a failure for the rest of their life. It can impact on so many different levels. From that meeting, I then went away and did 5 focus groups, 90 interviews with students, and at the end of that year proposed that back to him with all this stuff. And for the whole thing, I never knew how much to charge for it. Ended up just saying $25,000 and writing it into we had mentors at the time. How are we going to charge $25,000? And they're like, oh, you need a day rate. Okay, right, sweet. We basically worked out on £600 a day, me and my business partner at the time, £600 a day each, this many days, this, put it in a report, print a proposal with a Gantt chart. We basically literally was so scrappy with the whole thing. Got $25,000 for that. And throughout that process, I heard, some car makers are using algorithms to predict if you're going to continue using your car or not and when to sell them. Oh, it's called predictive analytics. Oh, can we predict whether students can drop out of university and what support they need? And that's literally where it started. The guy next to me, Dennis, he worked in a robotics lab. We were in the entrepreneurship space. The robotics lab was next door. I remember seeing him at lunchtime and going, Dennis, I've got this idea to use predictive analytics to stop students dropping out. He was like, who the fuck are you? And I was like, I've just seen you're a CTO of your own tech startup. Can you give me some advice? And from there, Dennis advised us, and then he actually ended up building the solution for us for a few grand, and then we paid him a percentage of the money that we got once we worked at universities as our first client, which we then did. We paid him more in commission than we did to actually build it. So I don't know, it seems quite, I don't think I'd do it now. It seems too cheeky to go, mate, we'll give you a tiny amount of money, but then we'll give you a load of percentage of the sales after.
That's one of the things you have to use when you have no money. It's like, I promise you, you'll make some of it, but commission is a good way of doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think that goes back to like one of the fundamentals as well. It's just, if you see value in something, and we've seen it over the last 3-4 months, no matter how small or insignificant you are in the scheme of that particular area, you just have to ask the question, because if you don't, you're never going to get those sorts of interactions.
And it's so interesting, because I literally do remember very vividly the emotional state I was in of just seeing this guy walking a few yards ahead of me, and he was going to go right and I was going to go left, and emotionally saying to myself, should I say something? Should I say hello? Should I introduce myself? And I went, yeah, go on then, I'll do it this time, and introduce myself. And literally as a result of that, like, we don't chat anymore. I mean, might shout him after this, but yeah, like we worked together for 3 years, and yeah, with that software solution that was built, it was an amazing proposition, to be honest, where students, before we were enabling universities to provide super personalized advice to students before they arrived at university on areas that they were going to drop out of university, without them even knowing that. We weren't kind of telling them, oh, this is an area. But for example, if they studied economics without having studied maths before, we seen that was an area where they were suffering. So we can already kind of tailor communications to recommend extra maths classes where they can get those maths classes. If they were in the second choice of accommodation, we could recommend extra societies that can get involved with on campus. If they were commuting in from their family home, we saw that like they don't get as socially engaged.
You have to fill out like a form. Like, how did you get this kind of data?
Well, that's the thing. Universities have all of this data already from the application process. They're just not really using it. Yeah. So we were enabling them to use it, and just through data visualization and a bit more intelligence, and then so we'd enable them to give them super personalized communications to maximize the chance of success for their students that are arriving, but kind of how, and then diverse in resources to the ones that actually really need help the most. So it was all about empowering. It was never about kind of pointing and saying, oh, we're not going to let them in because they're more likely to drop out, or we're not going to support them in anything ways. It's like it was super proactive. So that was it. We ran that for kind of 2-3 years. Got into a few different universities, turned over 6 figures with that, and essentially packed it all in because it was quite fucking boring, to be honest.
I was waiting for the reason as to why it didn't quite take off.
I was thinking 6 figures, it's going places. And
I mean, it wasn't doing amazing. Essentially, like the product in itself wasn't good enough, and I was at a position where I had to either raise money to hire an amazing team to do that. And I'm saying this now as if it would have been easy, and I think now, knowing what I know, it could have been quite easy. But at the time, as a first-time entrepreneur, going to invest and raising money, then hiring developers, that was quite a scary thing, and therefore there would have been a lot of resistance associated with that. And
that's kind of the once you've gone through that first investment raise, you're in it for the long run. You can't just suddenly 6 months after
exactly.
I give up.
Exactly, yeah. And that's what Zac kind of really said to me, because I was thinking about leaving that business for like over a year. Was mate, we snuck into the Olympics 2016 ceremony in Manchester. Yeah. We bought fake kits, got on the all the Olympians were in Manchester doing the waves of heroes. It was the first thing that we ever did that went super viral.
So for anyone not listening who's not up to speed on YouTube, there's a relatively common theme with those sorts of videos on Zac and Jay channel. But yeah, I mean, we'll come on to more of that stuff later, but I used to get nervous playing Knock Door Run as a kid, being scared that I'm going to be caught. How do you get the bottle to just fake your way into these sorts of places?
Mate, so did I. Knock Door Run was scary, man. I think in my mind, the first time I ever did it was not a thoughtful, conscious decision. It was an in-the-moment emotional decision that looked like fun. And I've always enjoyed kind of breaking rules, poking fun at things, questioning why society is the way it is. And I was at a Skepta gig once in Manchester, just seeing the sickest show ever after an amazing album, and the last song was fucking sick and everyone was going crazy. And I just saw loads of staff walking behind with like drinks and stuff, and I just literally was like, I was just like super excited. I was with my mate, just grabbed a bin and literally just walked behind them staff members as if I was staff, and it was so funny. Like they all looked so staff-like, and I was just this sweaty kid just with this bin bag. Got in, chilled with them, had a little drink, went to Skepta. That show was absolutely sick. This is like the biggest rapper in UK. This is like my fucking idol at the time. Still is. And got kicked out like, or 10 minutes in, they're basically like, hang on a minute, who's this sweaty white boy? I literally look like such a fan, and I go, whoa. They kind of roughing me up a bit and about to take me out. And I went, whoa, before you kick me out, let me tell you how I got in. Told them how I got in, and they went, that was so sick, you can stay. So I just chilled with them all night, literally. And that was when I was like, oh wow, that was kind of cool. And after that, I was almost like a little celebrity in my hometown, or like Heaton Moor, my little area where I lived. I tweeted Skepta saying, can't believe I just got backstage in Skepta and got a spud off him by carrying a bin bag, and he tweeted back saying, ha, legend. And people kind of saw that and thought it was sick, and I was just like,
you didn't record that?
I didn't record any of that stuff. But I was just like, hang on a minute, if you could do that and that kind of goes semi-viral and people love that stuff off a tweet, like imagine actually recording that in an amazing way. And Zac is like an amazing, beautiful editor and video man.
Say beautiful man. We can say beautiful man, but yeah.
Oh, he's quite beautiful as well. Yeah. Zac's an amazing kind of storyteller with videos and stuff, and super keen on doing loads of different stuff as well. So that's when me and Zac kind of like just started like teaming up with each other and just doing that. At that degree, so we were both in like the same team company. He was running a sustainable bottled water company as well, not bottled, cartoned water company as well. So
that very much reminds me of a type of Dan Moffat thing at our work, where he just walks into anywhere with enough confidence, no one will question anything.
It's so true. Like just wear a lanyard and you can get in, or Hivers Fairs, as you know, and you get in anywhere.
It's scary, yeah. I mean, cybersecurity, the number one risk. Oh, cheers, mate. Cybersecurity, the biggest thing of infiltrating by the best hackers in the world is literally just human relations. It's ringing someone up and getting them to give you a password. It's confidence.
Did you hear that the Twitter thing you heard recently? How they got onto. Did you see that on the news?
How was that? That was an internal thing, wasn't it?
You know, it was like a young guy, and he just knew how to call up the Twitter kind of internal helpline and just pretend he was Elon or something.
That is insane.
And just through like psychology managed to get.
He must have had some weird conversation pretending to be Elon. I don't know what he'd been talking about.
He called another Twitter employee to get their password into their back-end system, and that as an IT support person from Twitter. And then just managed to get all.
And Twitter in itself shouldn't have been able to do that. They shouldn't have been able to access the individual account's password. And so, like, they've even internally broken the law. And it, like, do you know what I mean? Like, someone internal would have to persuade someone else internal to do that. Someone on the outside has persuaded someone internally to then persuade someone internally to do it. And all they did was do those silly little tweets. Yeah. But if you, like, imagine if he did shorted Tesla stock, he could have made hundreds of millions. He could have broken economies. He could have done ridiculous silly.
And there was a lot of worry about people then seeing all the access to their DMs and stuff. But you'd like to think if you're of a certain level, you're not using Twitter DMs to talk to your very famous celebrity friends.
Trump might be using it quite a lot.
What, slided into the DMs?
Yeah, no. Someone's tweeted Eric Trump and said, like, can you DM me? I've got this amazing scoop on Joe Biden from Russia. He's followed him, DM'd him, and then the guy just said, you are a twat, or something dead silly like that. But yeah.
So when you did that Skepta thing, does that spark kind of you wanted then to launch a YouTube channel, and then did that make you think what's the next idea, and then you did the Olympic kind of first video?
Yeah. So what was the next idea? Didn't really know what it was going to be, and then the Olympics thing was coming up, and I remember saying to Zac, like, oh, let's do some, like, me and Zac were always kind of like partners and just ringing each other up for ideas and stuff, and I remember saying to him, like, oh, let's sell face paints, or let's do this, let's make a bit of money basically. And he was like, fuck that, let's sneak onto it. So I was like, all right, it's quite a big one, all right, if you want to. And then just bought all the kits and did it. But I remember after that really thinking, like, so I got interviewed on a float. Me and Zac both got interviewed on a float by a Sky Sports presenter. And literally, he kind of outed us on live news and was like, what are you here for? And I went, oh, we've just won the Olympics. The fencing in the Olympics. And by the time that we'd got home after that night out, it had already gone super viral on BBC News, Sky News, this, that, and the other. And we were just like, oh my God, that was crazy. And it was so easy to do. We bought the kits, we walked in.
Yeah, must have cost you £100 or so?
Less. The kits were on sale to about £40. The medal was £15 and the shoes were £30 that were on sale as well. But we returned the kits because we were skint at the time. And so all we were left with was about £45, the £15 medal, and then the 30 quid running shoes. But we actually used the running shoes and needed a pair at the time. So that's like, do you know what I mean? It's not a full cost. But yeah, I remember thinking after that one, going like, I have no idea where this could go, but this could go somewhere big. And I think I never really deeped how amazing the entrepreneurial opportunity is of having a huge platform. I think you kind of seen it more and more with brand builders. I hate the personal branding stuff, to be honest. I really like Gary Vee and Stephen Bartlett. To be honest, I fucking hate that shit. But I think you're seeing kind of your Navals, you're seeing your kind of Jason, you're seeing your Chamath Palihapitiya, these amazing investors really actually kind of putting themselves out there more, because they know that attracting the smartest people in the world, like the first, like any sales funnel, the first thing is awareness. And so, yeah, like us at the moment, we've that is literally, that started the business. It sounds so daft, but grabbing a fucking bin and taking it to Skepta, wearing the Olympic kit, that started what I think will be a huge business. We're at 700,000 subscribers in 2 years. Why I think it's so exciting is you're not creating a venture from a very weak position. You're creating a venture from an extremely strong position of being cash rich, because your fundamental business model is making money from brands, it's making from ad money, making money from your own ventures like merch, very safe stuff. And so you're not creating ventures building amazing products that take a lot of time and take a lot of money. You build it, and then paying loads of money to bring an audience to those ventures. You're building a massive audience and then creating solutions for those guys. So it's kind of flipping the model of traditional like product building on its head, of building a massive audience, then building products. And what people, I think, people generally kind of constrict the amount of opportunity that creators have based on the size of their audience. We've got 700,000 people. That doesn't mean that we can only attract 700,000 people. We could make, if we get a product that gets product market fit, those guys could be the early adopters, and it spans way past them. There's a woman called Grace Beverly at the moment. She's got 575,000 subscribers, got 1 million followers on Instagram, and she made 15 million last year on 3 different ventures in the first year with 0 venture funding. It is literally unbelievable. She was number 1 on Forbes 30 under 30 list for retail and commerce in the whole of Europe. Now, when you think about the best entrepreneurs of our time, you think, I was going to say Oxford grad, she graduated from fucking Oxford as well. She's unbelievable. I don't know how she does it. But you think about these tech people, you think about these nerdy people, you think about this. She's an influencer. She's a fucking YouTuber, and yes, she's an entrepreneur and she's all those things. But she's an entrepreneur who started with growing a platform first and building amazing solutions that her audience absolutely loves, but now spans way past.
So the Kardashian, one of the Kardashians, is a unicorn business.
Yeah, Kylie.
Yeah, youngest billionaire in the world. It actually got devalued down to 900 mil, but I mean,
yeah, and everyone was up in arms.
She got slated though for that.
Yeah, and it wasn't even her she didn't coin herself a billionaire. It was Forbes who said she's now a billionaire, and
But yeah, no, it's a great point. That again, like the youngest billionaire in the world, you think your Mark Zuckerberg, you that and the other, and they are worth 60 billion shit. They are worth loads and loads of money. But it's this 22-year-old, 23-year-old with like.
And where's that come from? It's come from a reality TV show, building that audience.
Yeah, exactly. And for Kylie Jenner, it's mainly just Instagram, really. Like she's 150 million followers on Instagram. Like it is insane. But I mean, I do think there is actual ethical questions on capitalism, but on this area.
Well, we can have a talk about that another time. Last night in the
we could go.
In the pub was about, there was people looking over from the other table like.
We're in our tennis gear coming in talking about capitalism.
Mate, there's rabbit holes, mate. There's yeah, but yeah, in like the way that you said, like we're going to be super ethical in everything we do, but I do think there are questions on like how that money was made and is it causing insecurities and all those things. But I think the point of entrepreneurial opportunity for creators is,
So going back to before, just as you finally made that decision to say we're going to go full time with the channel, I think I remember either hearing you say or reading somewhere that you had sort of a pot of money set aside from your savings and thought, if it doesn't work after this amount of time, like sort of that's it, we've got to go on to something else. And similarly, when you guys started and you had the funds that you brought in from investors, so this money needs to work to get us to a certain point so we can carry on this journey. What was that thought process like when you began? Were you always confident it was going to work? Or were there reservations? Were there times where you thought maybe actually we've got this quite, like completely wrong?
It was very oversimplified, but thinking back, was it oversimplified or was it perfectly oversimplified? We had 25 grand of my business money that I'd made from the last business that I'd walked away with, and Zac had about 20 grand. Zac was running his own channel for a bit. And yeah, he had about 20 grand as well, like 25, some, I don't know these specifics. But yeah, it wasn't a time-based thing of like, oh, we're going to give it 6 months, 7 months. It was literally when we get to 0, we'll probably have to stop or else we'll get a loan out and we'll cross that bridge when it comes to it. And yeah, people ask when did we go full-time? We were full-time 2 months before the channel even was created, which is pretty weird for creators. But yeah, like literally I just thought, you know what, we can we'll just sneak into places, we'll just do viral videos, it'll be that easy, we'll grow to 100,000, we'll charge brands 10 grand, 15 grand per brand deal, and that'll be it. And then 6 months in, we had 45,000 subscribers. We had 3 months where we were on 30,000 to 40,000. Like we grew by 2,000 subscribers a month. I'm just like, this is just not going to work. Like the projections were like that, and like no, we didn't do any projections, but the mental projections were like that.
The business model.
Yeah, there was none of that shit. There was literally just very simple. But then again, like then it fucking worked. Then we did a video. It went super viral. We went from like 60,000 when it went viral to 200,000. We got 15,000 pounds in ad money from that. We'd had a brand deal that was set up, and that unlocked like an extra 15 grand because of the extra views that we could get them. And then literally we just didn't look back from there. Then we grew very quickly we just kept growing basically.
Because I guess you can't really get traditional investment. Like you obviously have a profitable business. Yeah. It was growing. Like a bank probably wouldn't easily give you a loan, or that
I think we probably get a virgin startup loan, but that's all on the individual, isn't it?
But like a traditional loan.
Oh no.
They wouldn't count this as a kind of.
But I don't know whether they would have done it in the last business either, which was more of a legit business. So, yeah.
True. Do you know if that's been set up like recently? Obviously, influencers and social media is so big.
It's massively underserved as a space. So if there is any investors listening and you're looking for kind of unique niches, chat to me genuinely, because it's massively underserved as a space. There's a company called Genflow, which actually works on Grace Beverley's brands, who have just set up their own venture fund, so they invest in influencers. But I think that they're a bit cheeky, because I think they invest in it and then say, oh, by the way, we'll do all the work. So it's basically sweat equity, but a way to kind of do that in a cash effective way without doing the risks associated with it. But yeah, I'm chatting with Yes Theory, this is one of the biggest channels in the world, 5.5 million subscribers, grown super quick. Chatted with their manager yesterday and Matt yesterday from Yes Theory, and just the stuff they're talking about for laying down infrastructure of sustainable merch lines and this, that and the other. They've got 3 different revenue streams. Like they're seeing everything as a business. So yes, they have a YouTube channel as a business, but when they created their merch line, they essentially were like, there's no one that's going to do it as good as us. They assess the market, which is the market research, but for themselves, no one's going to do it as good, so let's do it for us. Oh right, let's do it for our friends. We know all the YouTubers. It's a very kind of homogenous kind of space where everyone's quite similar. You want merch that's ethically produced for a low cost with efficient run. It's not that hard. And so yeah, they created Fan of a Fan, and that now generates more revenue than any of their business stream, and essentially it's just a merch company. And yeah, they're doing it now for a few other things as well, which I won't talk about. But it's there's no entrepreneurs operating in this space. There's so much money in the space. Like you said, billionaires, first and foremost. There's no entrepreneurs in the space. There's no investors in the space. Like the smartest people in this space are winning by miles, and they're not that fucking.
Must be like an example of that. Although he does it in slightly strange ways, but. Music.
It's the reason. It's why it's strange that puts people off. Yeah. But if you're so clever with money, look at the ones and zeros. But yeah, no, he's a genius. Yeah, KSI's a genius. Logan Paul's a genius. They're making just serious, ridiculous amounts of money at the age of 25, and they're going to be worth. Like it'd be easy for them to become billionaires. I'm not joking. Like it's not that hard. Based on.
Are they looking into? I don't know if you know, but we have a bunch of influencers invested directly into our business, and they're probably one of the first kind of consortiums of influencers putting money together and investing in tech.
Yeah, Casper Lee's an investor, isn't he?
Yeah, so he's investing in us. And do you think that's, surely KSI has such an incredibly valuable following, so he could almost put like we go through accelerators and they put 200 grand, 150 grand is their kind of expertise, and then 50 grand is money they give you for a certain bit of equity. Do you think it might actually turn out that influencers, because as a startup, if I got KSI on and he was talking about my charged up, let's say at the start, we'll probably be way higher than we are. So do you think that might actually make a shift where they start investing in startups?
No, definitely, I think so. Again, the problem is a lot of these people, they are, I don't know, they're kind of more intelligent. It's not a question of intelligence. This isn't a question of intelligence. It's a question of something else, of commercial hunger, basically. Business, but not even business savvy, like, because they're so business savvy and they're so rich in ways that I wouldn't think of. But the traditional ways of thinking and commercial savviness, you'd say, so if someone like you said to me, oh, mate, can you get 10 grand for a shower? I'd rather go, look, mate, can I have 2%, 1%, 0.5%, a percentage for this amount of shout outs or something like that. But they kind of just don't need to, because like KSI, for example, is worth tens of millions of pounds at the age of 27. Like, he doesn't need to, and I think like he's investing heavily in music, which again, like can add double that to his net worth and double that, and he'll then do something else and then do something else. So there's so many different ways of making a shitload of money in this space, to be honest. I think you'll start seeing now more savvy people with more savvy options, like Genflow, literally, that came out yesterday. That information of a venture firm being in it.
And as well, lots of people might look at YouTube from the outside and sort of have a relatively naive perspective of actually what goes into creating content. In terms of when you sit down to think about what your next idea is going to be, or your 6-12 month content plan, or whatever it may be, do you very much treat that like it is your almost 9 to 5, where you have days where you're sketching out ideas, putting all the operational stuff in place to make it happen? What goes into making something go viral? We do. We like, especially at the beginning, we just did crazy fucking hours. We were very head down. We had a strategy. It was we had like milestones, and they were very kind of liquid. They weren't solid. They were get enough money to pay ourselves so we don't run out of money. Then it was get a team around us. We're still paying ourselves pennies at this stage. Then and then we've got more of an infrastructure for the virality, easier things, and then finally it's pay ourselves nicely. And now we're kind of done all of those things, and we're at a stage of just saying, like, what do we want to do? Where do we want to go? We want to really kind of plant the seeds, plant the acorn seeds to grow huge trees on their own right that are separate from us, like Yes Theory's Fan of a Fan, that company. On the weekly stuff, operational stuff, we do have like an hour brainstorming session every single week. Again, it's not fucking crazy. We could do way more, like, businesses get creative consultants in for whatever day rate, and they're doing like Lego planning. Like, I honestly want to get moved to that level, because again, no YouTubers are doing that shit. We've got infinite ideas. We've got literally over 100 ideas that are written down in all with a PowerPoint slide. The question isn't do we have enough good ideas. The question for us anyway is what are the best ideas on the planet? And for me, the best ideas on the planet aren't video ideas. They're not video ideas. What they are is what they are. Don't know how to say that. What they are, I think that's it. Is fucking hell. They one sec. Yeah, the ideas that move the world. They change behavior. They capture. They see how everyone behaves. And they analyze how everyone behaves, and they say but no one really realizes it. They show that in a video, and then say this is a new kind of insight or way of behaving for a video. So they're almost like do you know what I mean? It's like an article or a movie or something like that, a book that gives you insight that no one else seen.
Startups are mission driven, and like you look at Tesla, the whole mission is accelerating the world's sustainable energy. Like, if you then view a video idea as something similar, I can imagine that gets virality, and that gets So our biggest video, 18 million views, blew up the channel. I don't know if we'd be here talking without that video. I'm not even joking. But yeah, that video absolutely blew up, and that was our friend. And again, it's very, very simple, but what did it show? What did it poke holes at? What did it say? Look, society, look.
our friend, I thought of the idea 2 days before Fashion Week on Friday and was like, oh, should we do this idea? Yeah, let's do it. It was getting our friend to dress up in the worst clothes imaginable. He had his mum's pink rug around him. He had Amazon packaging around his neck, like that, that bubbly stuff. He had a safety clip going through the bubble there. So like we didn't know how to, so it came through like there. Oh, it was the worst. We had his hair going like that. He had marigolds on. We cut the fingers off. It was the worst clothes imaginable. We took him to London Fashion Week, walked down the Strand, and people were just like, what the hell is going on? And like 7 to 10 photographers going, and that was it. It wasn't even crazy. And the weird thing was, we even left that day thinking that wasn't good enough. Like, I didn't think it was good enough. Like, oh, we're going to upload it. We were questioning whether or not to upload that video. We did in the end. We uploaded it, and it was quite good in the edit. Zac added a few camera noises. But literally, you can see me or Coco, our producer, taking photos of Max to make it look like there was more people there. Blew up, literally blew up, 200,000 subscribers in like 6 weeks, something daft. But then we've kind of tried to derive why that worked, and people, I think, anyway, you never really know, but people kind of love to hate the high-end fashion of these are super good-looking people, they're super rich, they just swan around doing anything. You guys have just shown that, ha 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 ha. Like, it's kind of confirming people's beliefs that like they're not, like, this world of fashion is not better than them, that they're idiots, basically. Is what we kind of derived. It kind of makes sense, right? I mean, you don't really know, but yeah.
No, definitely. And in terms of when you were making that decision as to whether to put that out or not, I was watching an interview, I think it was with Ed Sheeran at one point, where you're saying when you're at the beginning of your journey of creating whatever it is, there's like a tap that you turn on at the beginning. It's going to be running like really dirty, crappy water in terms of like the songwriting process, but you need to get that out of you, release it into the world, so then it's done, and eventually clear water will eventually start flowing. Do you think that's very similar in creating YouTube content as well? Like, you need to make things, you need to put them out there, see what is working, see what isn't working, and just, if you make something, put it out into the world? Or has there been times where you've made videos and been like, nah, we actually can't put that out there?
There's definitely been videos where we can't put out. There's definitely been clips in videos we have put out that can't go out. What's kind of question on whether or not it goes out or not? Is it?
Yeah, so more of a case of, he was talking about how if you're releasing lots of different music, you have to get it out there into the world so it's out of you, and therefore you won't then mimic that again with another bad song further down the line. And you think it's necessary to create content which maybe isn't actually that good to enable you to get to the videos where they can go super viral, like the one you were talking about?
It's a good question, We've been thinking a lot about the regularity of our posting. Essentially, right at the beginning of YouTube, Casey Neistat, and Gary Vee chats shit about this all the time, it's so annoying. But Casey Neistat, when he just started, the key to Casey Neistat's success was daily vlogging, hands down. But that was on a platform that had loads of viewers, but with loads of demand, basically, with no supply. Suddenly, if someone provides that supply, you're hooking into their story. Now, if you go on this platform with more demand, way more demand, but huge, way more supply, no one wants to see daily vlogs of someone who's got a boring life. Yeah. And that daily vlog in your life is not going to be your key to success. You're going to spend half of your day filming and 2/3 of it editing. Like that's not good enough, basically. Because
you joined relatively late in the YouTube game, exactly. Which meant the quality. I guess your quality had to start from here. Whereas if you look at MKBHD and all these guys, the quality is literally on a crappy iPhone.
Chicken nugget 4. Challenges all the way up to like sneaking into
100%, and that's essentially why it's interesting, because like when we got into the game, 1 a week was the normal thing. Basically, Yes Theory were doing it, so we were like, okay, that's what you're meant to do, and the algorithm, regular posting was about what it was all about, and that's what we were doing. Essentially, the best videos we could do in 1 week. But now we're asking ourselves, like, because the quality and the competition is so good. Now you can't just have a good story and a good like sneaking in on your iPhone. Or you can. There's still them gems that come through. But you need to have amazing editing. Then you need to kind of have amazing resources. Mr. Beast throws £100,000 at a video, each video. Like, you need £100,000, and you need amazing editing, and you need amazing ideas. Like, there's so much to compete on. Time is basically, as all the metrics of like what goes into a video, time's basically been left out. Like, yeah, it's great if you can do all those things in a day, but you physically cannot. Basically timing is not as important as it used to be, I think. It's definitely not as dependent on the algorithm. But again, like, why is the algorithm there? The algorithm is there to kind of keep people on the platform as long as possible. If people are watching your content again, they're going to keep like pushing you that stuff. But if you're watching a video, but there's another amazing video that you can't see, the algorithm's going to push you over there to watch it. So I think it just changes with whatever kind of is the best content and the general landscape of the platform.
And so in terms of when COVID sort of came into play, what was that like being an influencer, a YouTuber, when that came in? Because a lot of people may say they have the perception of it's a lot of people in their bedroom or in their house, whatever, making videos. That type of industry would be fine. But did you have lots of plans for videos that you were going to go ahead with, which suddenly you could no longer do? And was it back to the drawing board in terms of how you then use this to still keep that growth going?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting one. First of all, when COVID came, like on a personal level, I was very confused, very anxious, very sad, like all of those things. I think, I think you should always differentiate kind of business and kind of personal, and like, or like at least highlight the personal effect. You know, like I feel very, very lucky to be in a position where I haven't lost my job, where I'm not risking my family because I need to go working for them. When I don't know, when there's so much news of so much devastation in place, I feel very privileged to kind of be able to keep going, basically. It's not been any better for us, to be honest. But yeah, we really doubled down from a business point of view. We really doubled down on like how we could kind of in a weird way, how we could win, basically. How that we, like, all of our videos is all outside filming, doing big ideas, interacting with people and things like that. And essentially you cannot leave your house for 6 to 8 weeks. Like so what do we do? Something's got to change, you know. Either we don't upload or we do different videos. And there was it was an interesting time of like, right, okay, what are we going to do then? And I remember seeing a load of graphs of coronavirus coming, basically. I follow like Paul Graham and stuff like that on Twitter, and he was retweeting really early on, like before anyone was really talking about the coronavirus, basically just the very simple modelling that was taking place. So I remember going, like, literally losing my head, like, oh my god, everything's going to change, it's going to be crazy, this, that and the other, and no one would really like believe me and stuff. So I was like, right, okay, what does it mean for business? And I think if I knew any more about stocks, I would have tried to like put some money in stocks and stuff, but I didn't. And it's funny because Bill Ackman has made over £1 billion investing on the same day that I was losing my head, and he made over £1 billion.
I've got one of those accounts that's just using fake money, and I'm just kicking myself because probably around that time.
And I was asking myself, what company's going to go up? What company's going to go up? What company's going up? And I literally couldn't. And I just didn't know. I was like, oh, Skype, but that's owned by Microsoft, and I just didn't know enough about it. I think like now, what I've done now is purposefully put in some money just so I know very basic shit. I've got £500 of Bitcoin. I'm going to buy a few stocks in Amazon, Tesla. What's the other one? Shopify. They may go up, they may go down. I don't know, but I'm going to dip my toe in and see what happens. So that next time I do kind of take it a bit more seriously and pull the trigger. But what the fuck was the point in that?
No, but I mean, it's in terms of it, like when you are investing, like my fund, in terms of it's gone up 20-30%, and if you've got millions upon millions of pounds and you're up 20-30%, you are making a lot of money in a time where people are really exactly. And that's point in case of that point.
I think because I was watching your channel quite a lot then, and it kind of pivoted to doing your home show, which I thought was genius. Like you're kind of the first ones to do that.
So yeah, we genuinely were the first people to do that. So we said we cannot do the outside stuff. What are we going to do? We're going to reduce the quality of our content and just do the same regularity, or we're just going to say, look, this is a new fucking world here. Cleaned up, charged up. No one's going to go there and charge the phone anymore, or they might do. I suppose probably will actually. Like people are still going out.
Sort of now. At the beginning, nothing.
Exactly, nothing. But what they are going to do, 100%, is use that cleaned up. You know what I mean? So like, it's a changed world. How do you design yourself around this new world? It's going to be the people that are the quickest to adapt. Full stop. But yeah, the quickest to adapt to this time that are going to win. And we took a punt essentially. We had a few kind of inputs that based around the decision. Essentially, it was I don't think it was a wrong decision. We learnt loads about it, but we said, how instead of being defensive and defend our position as a YouTube channel, we do this, we'll be aggressive and go on the front end. And so yeah, we completely changed everything. We did 1 video a week before. We started doing 3 videos a week. It was called the Stuck Inside Show. We created formats on each different segment. One was like household activities. We were building volcanoes. We had these tiny hands that we tried chopping up bananas with. We literally created a quarantine talk show. And the idea, Joe Wick started doing it quite early on. I saw meditation guys doing it. They were really building and kind of capitalizing on people being inside and bringing positivity to them. So Joe Wicks, was the nation's PE teacher. We tried being the nation's entertainment people. We tried doing that, where people would tune in Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and they'd see us having a laugh, doing our things. And it was crazy hours. Like the house was just an office. Like there was no sunlight. It was just green screens. Oh yeah, Simone, Zac's girlfriend, was a godsend, because if we had another housemate who was working there, it would have been hell for her. We wouldn't have been able to do it, I don't think. It just would have been a dick move. But yeah, our assumption going in was that everyone's going to be inside, everyone's going to be losing heads, everyone's going to be watching a shitload of YouTube. Where will they watch? Everyone else won't be able to create, so we'll create a show which will be constantly there and people will watch it and flock to it in droves. Worked crazy hard on it. Didn't spend any money out, but a load of input and time. But essentially, it didn't do that well. Views 80,000 instead of 300, 400, 500, 600,000, what we normally get. And consistently 80 to 100,000. And I think those 80 to 100,000 absolutely loved it, but it just wasn't going wider. And I think it's because we built our audience based on, well, there's 2 things. I think we built our audience based on doing big things. So for them to see us doing different things, it was a bit weird for them. Like, I think we needed a bit of time to win others over. So the real core fans, 80 to 100,000 that tuned in pretty religiously, loved it. And then the other thing as well is when we assumed that there was going to be loads of people watching loads of content, we were right. However, that content wasn't really restricted to YouTube. TikTok blew up massively. Streaming blew up massively. Even things like football and telly and Twitter, like everyone couldn't film, so they were all just shoving shit online, basically. Literally, like celebrities couldn't do the acting, so they'd do YouTube channels and just record stuff. Like, it was so kind of noisy space that I think people just got a little bit sick of it, to be honest. And
well, you've seen as well all of the like some of the F1 drivers now have been doing regular Twitch streams of virtual Grand Prix, and then you see all of the sort of professional Call of Duty streamers now interacting with the F1 drivers, like the new age F1 drivers on stream and playing Warzone together, and it just seems like it's been really odd, the whole thing of how...
And they reinvent themselves. It's it comes back to that same kind of thing, is reinvent yourself.
And even the defined model of being like an actor now is fully out the window, I think. Like, again, like, go for TikTok, grow all your platforms and do it through acting skits, for example. Like, previously you go to an actor, a 7, 8 or 13-year-old aspiring actor and say, work really hard, get into the best drama school, get the best agent. Smash TikTok, just smash it, and then speak to your agents, and then do this and that and the other. Like, and again, from an F2 point of view, how do you be the best driver with the highest amount of money that you're making? Get in the e-game space, get into this space, get in that space, collaborate with these people, be in this online ecosystem. Yeah.
Do you think influencers have been under-relied upon by government, for instance, in terms of helping with being able to educate their audience? Because obviously there's been a lot of negative press about influencers, like, you know, look at Jake Paul who's hosting these massive house parties and blah, blah, blah. Do you think there is a lot of space for influencers to be used by government, for instance, to get that message across?
And in particular, there's a government campaign going out at the moment just on TV. And I'm watching it going, it's not going to get through to the audience that it needs to get through to. Like, how do we influence people to go out to a pub and safely have a beer? I feel like that's in your kind of space, but they don't use it.
I think we're actually chatting with someone in the government now about doing some work. Jono, our manager / agent, is. But yeah, 100%. You know where I think even influencers get this wrong, and business? I don't think influencers really... The tough thing about being an influencer is you can get pulled in so many different directions. Like, we get kind of probably 3 different requests from 3 different companies every single day to do some work. Most of them are sunglasses company asking for shout outs on our videos for $200. No. Like, one was like a porn app the other day. Again, no.
But time gets desperate.
Yeah, but mate, these underworld companies make serious money though. But yeah. Yeah, I think influencers that they get pulled by money basically, and by the options, and they do stuff, and they almost silo of like any brand deals is bad for me, and it's just I'm doing it. It is bad for the brand, so I'm doing it, and then I'm going to delete it, and I'm going to get my money, and then I'm going to be like, yay. Instead of really working out what companies do I want to be working with, maybe from a mission-led point of view, what things do I actually believe in that I can then partner with these right people.
So are there YouTubers who do literally get a brand deal with someone, upload the video and then delete it?
More on Instagram, they'll post something on their Instagram page and then delete it after 24 hours, which kind of makes sense, to be honest, because like...
Still get paid by the brand?
A lot of the brands are okay with that, because if you think about an Instagram post, it's all about the impressions that it's made, but if someone's going on a new page, and from a follower's point of view, you're only advertising, again, based on awareness and conversion. So if you're getting loads of awareness to get people onto your page, they're aware of it, how can you convert them? You're not going to convert them if you've got a load of branded stuff. That kind of needs to look pretty as well. So yeah, if you're deleting it.
And you sort of touched upon it there about in terms of working with brands where you're very mission led. There was something yesterday I saw on LinkedIn about Jonah Hill doing a sponsored post for Coca-Cola. It was his first post in 3 months. It literally said, "Enjoy at Coca-Cola today, #ad." And it got maybe like 30 retweets, and he's got 3-4 million followers. So do you think the key, and certainly with your videos as well, all of the relationships you've had with the brands, a lot of those videos have gone viral because there's been so much thought going into it? And do you think there is that difference between YouTubers at their early stage and we'll just take whatever money we can to get things in and post just?
So one thing that I've realised about this social stuff is it's a fucking weird minefield, man, honestly. So there was a big trend, I think it was presidential thing in America, where, is it a New York mayor? He was basically getting people, this is crazy, it's like Inception, he was getting people to say it's an ad. Oh, what was it? He was basically getting people to say this is a paid ad and use #ad over like a funny little kind of skit, and it was kind of like weird, and it was kind of didn't make sense and had typos in, and it said ad endorsed by this president nominee or whatever, or mayor nominee, but it was actually real. You saw Jeremy Corbyn do some weird stuff, and it was like zoom in on the top right photo, zoom in on the bottom left. It was like all this stuff, like that ad thing there. I'm not even joking. This is how weird it gets. I wouldn't be surprised if that was a conscious thing. They made it purposefully bad so that we talk about it on the podcast. Like that's where I'm at mentally, of just like people are getting weird, and like I don't know whether any noise is good noise, but like it could be the case. Previously I'd have thought they've got to love that ad, they've got to feel that ad, but online noise, I don't know, you see with Donald Trump, noise, just any noise is kind of working for him. Yeah.
And so when you're working with those brands, what do they give you guidelines of where they sort of want it to go, or is it with you sort of total creative freedom to?
Yeah. So I think yeah, what I was talking about there about previously with like the influencer working on behalf of things that they're actually passionate about. It's the same with the brands, and I think it's kind of a chicken and egg thing. If we work with a brand like Cleaned Up, for example, like we really want to know what you're trying to push, and we'd kind of want to make sure that's right. Like originally working with you guys, I didn't like the idea of pushing a message of going out boozing when I'm telling people to take it seriously and stuff like that. But if we're doing that in an authentic way and saying, look guys, go out, have a drink, help, we need to get people, we need to keep people alive basically, we need to keep jobs and all that stuff. But remember, let's not shake hands. Remember, let's respect people. Let's not take the piss out of people if they don't want to sit next to them. They want to keep the 1 meter because maybe they live with someone vulnerable. Like that's a message we want to promote in general. If we can do that by getting paid, by promoting the brand, like that is almost like an equity split from a value point of view, as opposed to like monetary or percentage of a company point of view. So yeah, I think that brands will be in a very interesting position to really kind of trusted. It'll be a very interesting time when brands can really trust creators as businesses, and this is what Kyra, our management company, do. They are that stamp of approval. If you work with any creators, we will make sure it is fucking sick, it is tasteful, looks amazing, it looks however you want it to look, and it'll have actually values driven behind it. And so yeah, I think like that's when magic happens, because creators who are amazing creators already, like we can make fucking good videos. If we do that with a brand, suddenly that brand is now associated with fucking great videos. Like I was chatting with a woman, a super inspiring woman, on a property startup of like that does property advice, and she was like, oh, how do we win on YouTube? I was like, first of all, don't try and do amazing videos. You're competing with too many people. Okay, let's work with influencers then. Don't pay them to shout it out. don't even give them like 2% equity or anything. Literally get them to create their own course, slap their name out and give them 20% of the course, and maybe even 20% of the equity of that course, and suddenly that woman has now got their own course, and now you're just a platform for influencers. And that's what Yes Theory is talking about. Is an amazing podcast called Be a Platform with Shopify's founder, Masters of Scale, and that I think is how you win. Is you have a decentralized kind of way of working with people where you're getting the best world of the creator with their audience, their authentic message and their reach, and they're getting the best bit of like actually being able to make money with an amazing solution that's right for their audience as well. So yeah.
And how do you think there'll be a significant change in terms of the way influencers think about their content because of COVID? Do you think it'll make a significant dent in the way that sort of space works, operates? Or do you think it has been relatively business as usual? Obviously, you've had to adapt the type of content that you're doing, but do you think there'll be any lasting?
Any lasting? It's a good question. I think everyone, from an individual point of view, have asked themselves a lot of questions on why they're doing what they're doing, and for me, it's shown how brittle society is. And I think I don't know. Like the saying, COVID is very similar to climate change, just in fast forward. Will that have to more meaningful push? I think so. So yeah, I think we'll definitely. I think there is definitely a pre versus post COVID world, but I don't know, we just adapt, don't we?
As a kind of final question, I know we're going to have a lot of businesses and entrepreneurs listening to this. How you got any advice for a business of how they can best use influencers better to uplift their business, and at what stage in the business should they approach someone like yourself?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'd say, and honestly, this sounds like I'm kind of like just saying work with us, but speak with us and speak with Kyra, because I think there's still a lot of, again, why influencers have kind of got this bad name is society will take a bit of time to catch up with like how good of a peach of a business like Amazing Places is in, and I've gone into it because of what an amazing opportunity it is in, and therefore I'm like willing to capitalize on it in for the long term. For the long term. And there's still kind of, it's a minefield at the moment where some influencers are super professional and they will get the job done. Some you'll say, can you shout this out? And it'll be the most money you've ever spent with a marketing agent, like as a marketing agent. Yeah, in general, but equally they also put a great name on us who take it serious and do an amazing job. So people work with us again and again and again because they don't get any headaches. Maybe get some headaches, but definitely not as many. But yeah, those guys, they'll do the biggest amount of ad spend you've ever spent with an influencer, and they'll go on holiday and can't be asked posting it or something like that. So I don't think like working with influencers is just someone who's got following. There's a lot of variance in that word, especially nowadays. Everyone seems to have a following.
Is there a lot more collaboration now in terms of if a brand came to you and wanted to do a certain type of thing but didn't really fit in with your channel and what you're trying to do, would you say that's not good, right for us? However, we know this great content creator who that would fit in with.
Well, yeah, maybe, yeah. But it's interesting because I think like Amazon Prime, for example, wanted us to do like a swipe up on our story, 40k followers on Instagram. Why don't we do a swipe up and tell people to like that? That's what everyone else does. We'll charge $1,000 for it, whatever, a couple of grand. But instead we were like, right, we want to engage our audience, bring them along for a bit of a journey. We'll also get them actually on the platform. Why don't we do a film club? We'll watch film every single week for a month, 2 months, and then get people to review it and go on live and talk with them. So only this whole conversation is happening. We're engaging our audience, we're involving them in the process. It's good for us because we're chatting, it's two-way street with our audience, and we get paid like way more money, and it's way better for the brand because as soon as it's all about impressions. If you see someone shouting out a story, you know they're getting paid for it. You know like they don't actually watch it, but if we're actually watching it, engaging it, it's just kind of good advertising. So yeah, I think that's the process really, is like it's more storytelling and longevity and get them to actually buy in.
Well, it's been fascinating to listen into the sort of behind the scenes stuff which goes into all of these videos. And I think a lot of people will now realise that actually it's not just people sticking things out there, not really thinking about it. There is a lot of entrepreneurship which goes into growing a channel and creating something which is meaningful. And so if people want to find you, where can they reach you at?
The Zac and Jay show on YouTube if you want to watch any videos. I'm on Instagram, but I've just unfollowed everything and deleted it all because I'm just sick of being pulled in every direction. We downloaded these apps 8 years ago. Where was the warning? Gambling sites, like drugs, we're warned from such a young age of all the devastating effects on us. So why am I using this stupid app an hour and a half a day on looking at shit I do not care about? It's not improving my life. Sorry, but yeah. So you cannot. You can follow me on that. I might be active one day, but yeah, Twitter, Jamie Rawsthorne. Email jay@zacandjay.com. or LinkedIn, quite like that one at the moment, Jamie Rawsthorne.
Yeah, excellent. Well, no, thank you very much. And next week, I'm not sure who we've got next week. We need to do some bit of work on that. But yeah, goodbye. That was episode 3 of the Insider Startup podcast. We hope you enjoyed that fascinating discussion with Jay from the Zac and Jay show. If you did enjoy the podcast, please remember to subscribe on whatever platform you get your podcasts on, or if you would like to watch the podcast and see our beautiful faces, you can find it on YouTube. Also, please remember to share it with friends, family, and colleagues. It really does help us out. And if you are listening and you think you have some valuable insights to share with the world, you can search for Charged Up across all social media platforms. Get in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you and maybe feature you on the pod. Until next time, goodbye.